At first, this feels like a familiar fantasy, a distant planet, a wounded man, a second chance wrapped in advanced technology. But if you stay with it long enough, the story begins to feel less like escape and more like exposure. Because beneath the spectacle, this is a film about what happens when survival requires becoming something you were never meant to be, and how exactly that transformation can be justified. This is science fiction, but the experience it offers isn't wonder. It's discomfort. The slow realization that intelligence doesn't always evolve toward empathy. Sometimes it evolves toward efficiency. The world we enter is rich, alive, and profoundly connected. Not just biologically, but psychologically. Every living thing belongs to a network that remembers. Nothing exists alone. That detail matters more than it first appears. The human presence, by contrast, is temporary, portable, built to extract and move on. The goal isn't coexistence, it's access. Into this collision steps a man whose body no longer obeys him. On Earth, he's defined by what he's lost: movement, status, direction. On this new world, he's offered something intoxicating. Function, not purpose. Function. That distinction explains nearly every choice he makes. The technology allows him to inhabit a body designed for this environment. Taller, stronger, accepted where humans aren't. And immediately, something shifts. For the first time since his injury, he isn't being managed. He's being used. Usage feels like value when you've been ignored. At first, his role is simple. Learn the terrain. Learn the people. Gather information. He's told this is observation, not betrayal. That framing is important, because psychologically, humans resist seeing themselves as aggressors. They prefer to believe they're students. But learning isn't neutral when the information will be weaponized. As he begins training with the local population, the experience is framed as cultural exchange. He learns their ways, their language, their rituals, and slowly, something happens that no one planned for. He feels competent again. This is where the story quietly turns, because competence changes loyalty. Not ideologically, but emotionally. He starts to associate this new body with dignity, with belonging, with the absence of pity. And the more capable he feels, the less human his old life becomes. People as embedded with, are naive. They sense something unfamiliar about him, not hostility, displacement. He doesn't belong, but he wants to, and wanting, in this culture, is dangerous. Desire disrupts balance. Still, he's allowed to stay, watched, tested. What most viewers miss here is that this isn't generosity, it's evaluation. The world itself is evaluating him. As time passes, the lines blur. He begins to internalize their values, not because he's noble, but because they align with what he's been missing. Meaning that isn't transactional. But this adoption comes at a cost. The more he invests emotionally, the more compromised his original mission becomes. And instead of confronting that conflict, he delays it. Delay is a survival instinct. Back at the human base, the mindset is different. Progress is measured in yield. Time is money. Delays aren't ethical dilemmas. They're inefficiencies. The people in charge aren't monsters. They're professionals. They speak in calm tones. They believe problems can be solved with the right amount of force applied at the right time. This is the film's most uncomfortable insight. The threat isn't hatred, it's certainty. They're certain this world is less important than their need. Certain that relocation is kindness. Certain that resistance is ignorance. And because they're certain, they feel justified escalating. Meanwhile, the man at the center of this conflict is becoming someone else. Not symbolically, neurologically. His sense of self begins to anchor in the new body. The old one feels like a container, not an identity. This is where evolution becomes a threat. Because evolution doesn't ask permission. As his bonds deepen, the gap between who he is when he is awake and who he is when he has not becomes unbearable. He's living two lives with incompatible moral rules. One rewards obedience, the other rewards harmony, and both demand loyalty. The local culture doesn't frame intelligence as dominance, it frames it as restraint. Strength is measured by what you choose not to destroy. That worldview destabilizes him more than any physical danger, because it implies that humanity's greatest achievement, control, might actually be a weakness. As tensions rise, the humans begin preparing for action, not because diplomacy failed, but because patience ran out. The language shifts subtly, from research to relocation, from cooperation to necessity. Necessity is the word that removes guilt. The man knows what's coming before anyone says it out loud, and for the first time, he understands that knowledge itself has weight. That seeing the future doesn't make you powerful, it makes you responsible. But responsibility requires choosing a side. And choosing a side means losing something forever. The more he tries to exist between worlds, the more unstable he becomes. Neutrality feels safe, but it satisfies no one. The humans start questioning his reliability. The locals begin sensing his divided presence. Trust erodes quietly. This isn't a story about betrayal revealed in a single moment. It's about betrayal constructed through hesitation, through silence, through the hope that if you delay long enough, the decision will be made for you. But this is where the environment itself intervenes. The planet doesn't respond emotionally, it responds systemically. Every action triggers a reaction. Every disruption echoes, and slowly, the illusion that this world can be controlled begins to crack. The man is forced to confront a truth he's been avoiding. He was never meant to observe, he was meant. And whatever he chooses will cost him the only thing he has truly been searching for. A place where he belongs. The tragedy isn't that the conflict escalates. It's that by the time he understands what's at stake, there may be no version of himself left that can survive the choice.